through about $7 billion a quarter, and that they have no clear plan for how this $25 billion cash infusion will solve all these problems. Is bankruptcy actually the best option for Detroit? John Berlau is the director of the Center of Entrepreneurship at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. He joins me now. John, thanks for being here. So you tell me, I am now entirely convinced that Chapter 11 with some kind of government backstop or government backstop on warranties looks like the more reasonable solution, and every day we hear more from them, I'm more convinced that that's a better option.
You're absolutely right, Alexis, especially since they really could not say, as they indicated in the last segment, that they would not be back for more, or that this would be nothing more than a backstop here. I mean, a lot of companies, Circuit City is in Chapter 11. Virtually all the airlines have gone into Chapter 11, and it just makes the creditors wait in line. So that would be appropriate here. Oh,
did you find, I don't know about you, but I found it incredibly interesting when the chairman, Senator Christopher Dodd, he said, well, do you guys know what the implicit risks might be to your lenders or the credit default swap market, where you purchase insurance against the risk of default? I mean, it kind of looked like everybody had a blind eye to that question, but that was a substantial question, because we want to know, is the failure or cause of Chapter 11 really a systemic risk or a catastrophic situation for the U.S. economy, as Rick Wagner suggested?
Well, even in the case of Lehman Brothers, actually a financial firm, the credit default swap auctions there have gone better than expected. So, no, I mean, frankly think Chapter 11 would have been a better option, say, for American International Group, which just got, $85 billion and is coming back from $40 billion.
Yeah, listen, I want to bring up one of the clips from what happened yesterday. Senator Menendez, he basically talked about the big three. I'm not even going to say what he said. I want you to take a listen to what he had to say and get your reaction.
So here's the problem. You ask us to give you $25 billion of the taxpayers' money. We have to have a sense of how that, in fact, takes you to a time period that gets you past what you all described as your major challenge, which is the credit freeze and the economy.
So if we didn't get any good answers yesterday, they go to the House today. Do they have to give a more legitimate answer to how they'll use the funds and whether or not they'll need to come back for more funds?
Absolutely, Alexis. I think Senator Menendez, a Democrat, and Senator Corker, a Republican, asked the best questions, and the non-answers were very interesting. They wouldn't say, how much they needed. They wouldn't even say, which company was in more dire straits than the other. It's like they made a pact that they all were going to try to get this money. So you got indications that GM was worse off than most of them, but they wouldn't talk about even the individual companies' conditions and how much they would need.
Yeah, I mean, John, there was one point where I actually thought I was living on another planet when Rick Wagner said that the company could return to profitability if we're in a marketplace where we sell 12 million vehicles next year, 13 the next year, and going back up to 14 to 15 the following year. I mean, am I living on another planet? Where is that demand going to come from? Are we living in the same world? Are we in the same economic crisis? Who's going to buy those cars?
Well, they mentioned, and they're right about this, the foreign sales are going up, which and in some cases they are. But what that would suggest is maybe they should sell more cars overseas and start trimming back their American plants. Rick Wagner basically, gave sort of a smart alecky answer in saying, well, I'll guarantee we won't be back if you guarantee the economy is going to perform well.
Yeah, but I mean, look, John, I mean, we're kind of laughing about it. It's kind of frightening. But is it really conceivable that we will sell 12 million cars next year?
I mean, I don't think Congress should bet the bank on it. So that's the thing. It's the private sector or a bankruptcy where you have creditors competing over these claims would make them, take these decisions and get more information than obviously Congress had at the hearing yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is I don't like talking about the best case scenario. I think if you're going to play it straight to me, you got to talk about the worst case scenario. Let's talk about one of the issues, though, that they're all complaining about and that is CAFE standards. What is that doing to them in the middle of this period of transition? Is it making matters only worse? I mean, do I have to give them some credit for the fact that this is a big issue weighing over them?
We have, at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, my colleagues and I have talked about all of these mandates on the auto industry, like the CAFE, Corporate Average Fuel Economy Standards, where they have to do this mathematical formula, an average of mile per gallon across their fleet, so only make a certain number of SUVs, only make a certain number of fuel-efficient cars, rather than fitting the best car for the market. And so it's kind of like what Ronald Reagan says: if it moves, tax it. If it stops, keeps moving, regulate it. If it stops moving, subsidize it. And we're at the stops moving phase almost.
All right, John, we have to leave it there. John Berlau, great talking to you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.